Yokoya is a lonely loser who misses his mama's jugs who left to get some milk, but his life changes for the better when a plotful maid assassin asks him to employ her and be his master. It was a normal day for Yokoya, who's sleazing around, sleeping till noon, but suddenly, someone rang his doorbell, forcing him to get up. When he goes to the door on the camera, he sees a maid who looks like emo Violet Evergarden, asking him to employ her as his maid. After Yokoya lets her in, he lets her sit on his couch, gives her a drink, and starts thinking to himself that she's here either to sell his kidneys or to sell him some happy white powder. He asks her about her previous experiences as a maid, but instead, she tells him that she worked as an assassin before who targeted people who rebelled against her master, the same master that sent her here. Yokoya thinks she's joking, but after realizing she's not, Yokoya gets nervous. He asks about her boss and his relation to his family, and she starts explaining how her boss once owned a goldfish who had a baby that turned into a dog who looked for Nemo, and that guy was the friend of Yokoya's mom. Yokoya slaps her hand out of frustration, but quickly realizes he's screwed up, potentially pissing her off, so he changes the subject and asks her about her specialty method in assassinating people. Then, they go outside and she pulls out her knives, does a backflip, eats the knives accurately at the tree, and shows her specialty, which is knife throwing. She proudly smiles and explains that knife throwing is just one out of many of her abilities as an assassin. But despite having seen her amazing abilities, Yokoya tells her that he can't employ the female John Wick as his servant. While it does upset her, she understands his decision, apologizes for taking his valuable time and leaves. As she walks through the door, Yokoya falls to his knees in disbelief at what just happened. But when he looks down, he finds something. Meanwhile, the maid is walking by herself without a purpose, thinking to herself what she needs to do next. She looks back, expecting Yokoya to chase her, but gets disappointed to see no one there. However, just as she's crossing the train track, Yokoya screams out for her, with the bell in his hand, stating that she left it behind. When the maid turns around, Truck-kun is about to send Yokoya to an isekai, but she goes flying raging and saves Yokoya from his death. Unlike before, the maid looks adorable with blushes on her cheeks and Yokoya thanks her for saving him. She apologizes for saving him, stating she never saved people before and that her heart is beating fast. Yokoya hands her the bell, and she thanks him for giving it back before she leaves again. However, as she's walking away, Yokoya changes his mind and tells her that he needs her help with cleaning. Back home, Yokoya is in shock seeing all the knives she has as she's unpacking her stuff. While the maid is blabbing about how her knives could have stopped the rumbling, Yokoya stops her and tells her he needs her to clean his trash, not cleaning the streets from the 304s with daddy issues. However, she only has cleaning corpses in her mind, and Yokoya tries his best to explain that it's a different kind of cleaning and that he needs a housekeeper. She asks him if he will really hire her as long as she does his chores, and he agrees. Later, Yokoya comes back to a mess with her wet, holding a broken mop and a bucket on her head. She starts apologizing profusely and suddenly slips from the wet floor, but quickly maneuvers herself to land like Spider-Man while still having the bucket smack her head. After what he has seen, Yokoya asks her if she's actually clumsy, and she apologizes for her mistakes, while feeling ashamed of herself. Yokoya takes the bucket off her head, gives her a towel, and tells her that she can start learning from now on, with him helping alongside her. He asks her to continue, and she cutely nods. Hours later, the place is squeaky clean, and Yokoya praises her for her hard work, making her happy. Then, Yokoya sees the time, realizes it's time for dinner, and asks her if she can cook. She looks down like a poor dog, and Yokoya assures her that it's okay as he will be doing the cooking while she takes a bath. In the bathtub, the maid thinks about Yokoya while blushing, getting herself wet from the water inside out. Meanwhile, Yokoya is outside thinking out loud to himself, feeling anxious, and not knowing what to do when a plotful emo maid is taking a bath just meters away from him. He gets heated thinking about the maid coming out with only wearing towels, but she comes out in full uniform, disappointing Yokoya. Then, they start dinner, and while Yokoya warns her, the maid feels confident and starts chopping the cabbages like they're human bodies. Yokoya pulls out some ramen and fried pork, and it confuses her on what fried pork is. She explains that she might eaten them before, but she has never been much of a foodie to care much about what she eats. The maid states that eating is only to sustain life, and flavors are not important. But Yokoya assures her that one bite of the fried pork will make her cream and release happy noises like she's in Food Wars. Yokoya feels confident in these discounts fried pork and splits it into 2 portions for himself and the maid. But he realizes that he doesn't know her name. The maid tells Yokoya that she doesn't have a name and that her master usually gives her a name. At first, he wants to name her Big Steve 9000, but chooses to give her a name later after getting some inspiration. Then they start eating, and after her first bite of the fried pork, she still thinks that she can't tell what tasty is like, triggering her memory of a dark past. But this time, she feels warm inside and tells Yokoya that his meat tastes delicious. She tells Yokoya that both the food and him as a person feel warm to her, but he doesn't hear what she says and tells her that he has prepared a room for her to stay. Yokoya tells her that he prepared the room beautifully just for her, and after hearing this, she remembers an ever darker past of her bathing in blood. But unlike those times, she wants her new master to treat her with care. Yokoya notices her pork doesn't have sauce unlike his, so he hands the sauce to put on her pork, and after she takes a bite, she feels the umami in her mouth, making her squeal out happy noises to the almighty tonkatsu sauce. Later at night, Yokoya wakes up crying at night after he had a bad dream, but then his stomach starts growling. He walks down to eat something, but suddenly a voice comes out from his kitchen. He gets scared thinking that the maid is plotting something, and when he looks inside, he sees the maid snacking on the tonkatsu sauce. They both freeze awkwardly before she tries to apologize for being a new sauce addict, but Yokoya tells her it's okay and asks if she's also hungry. Then, Yokoya whacks out a saucy hot pot, and they start eating, which she is really enjoying. The maid asks Yokoya if he is having nightmares, and after he answers, she reveals that she heard someone sleep-talking in his room. She thinks that an assassin entered his room, so she enters with knives in her hands, but instead of an enemy, she sees Yokoya sleeping with tears in his eyes. Yokoya feels embarrassed, and she states that he was calling out for his mom in his sleep, which embarrasses him even more. She tries to cheer her up, stating that she also had a dream where the sauce talked to her, saying that she can lick the sauce all she wants as he will stuff her up. But before she starts licking, she wakes up from her sleep. However, she states that it's the first time she dreamt about something apart from assassination, and that it's the first time she wanted to continue a dream, unlike her other dreams. She feels upset that Yokoya has a nightmare on the same day, and that she can't comfort him. Yokoya confesses that he has this dream of her mom leaving him for a new daddy, and that he will start crying if he wakes up not lying on his mother's lap. After hearing this, the maid offers him her lap to lie on, and when Yokoya rejects her offer, she gets sad, thinking that she can never comfort people, only murdering them. Suddenly, Yokoya lies down, breaking her darkness, and they both feel warm with each other. Yokoya looks at her face, realizes she's looking back at him, and he sleeps right on her warm and plumpy lap. In her mind, she wonders why her heart was beating so fast when she saved Yokoya, unlike the times when she sent people to their deaths. So she wants to understand why her body moved fast to save him. The next morning, she plays Fruit Ninja on the trash before putting them in the bag. And when Yokoya asks why she does that, she explains that it saves space, which impresses Yokoya. Suddenly, they find a stranded dog in front of the house, and beside it is a letter from a broke dunny who left the dog at Yokoya's house, thinking that he's a wealthy man who will gladly take care of it. Despite his objection, Yokoya wants to take it in, not wanting it to die out of abandonment, but unlike her master, the maid has a different way of thinking. She states that the little dog has its own animal instincts, and saving it out of sympathy would make the dog less capable in its abilities to survive hardships, turning the dog into a little She asks Yokoya if he's ready to take that responsibility, and he simply doesn't care about all that cheese, stating that just like him saving the dog, she didn't save him from his death out of sympathy, and that when one's life is in danger, a person's body would move on their own, wanting to save them. It touches the maid's feelings hearing what Yokoya said, and he tells her that just like the dog, he knows what it feels like to be abandoned. Then he takes the dog inside and quickly gets attached to it. But unlike him, the maid keeps her distance from the dog like it's a plague. Yokoya tries offering the maid to touch the little bugger, but she slides away from it, and after seeing her reaction, Yokoya realizes that she is scared of dogs. She starts fidgeting out of shame, which Yokoya thinks looks cute, but she informs him that she would forcefully touch it if her master orders her to, which Yokoya tells her he won't. He asks her why she's scared, and the maid explains that during one of her assassin trainings, she was left in a mountain filled with fierce wild dogs from Berserk. Yokoya understands her trauma and deems it a shame that she can't help take care of the dog. But after hearing her master call it a shame, the maid feels disappointed in herself. With full chest and jugs, the maid asks to hold the dog, but in her first attempt, she holds the puppy like holding an active nuke, causing her to shiver her milkers. After Yokoya asks which part of the dog scares her, she points out the claw, the teeth, and the devilish eyes, But Yokoya says that unlike her, he sees it like it's a mochi, which to her is an alien concept. Suddenly, the dog gobbles on her finger, causing her to start tweaking, almost yeeting the little turning it into a hot dog. After calming down, the dog nibbles on Yokoya. And seeing this phenomenon, Yokoya checks its teeth and realizes that it's teething, so they take it to the animal hospital. While Yokoya takes the pup for a checkup, the maid goes shopping for some dog supplies, impressing Yokoya and the dog with how caring she can be. They take the dog on a walk, and after everything she went through, the maid tells Yokoya that she has never met a stud as gentle as him. She tells him that unlike him, her previous masters were cold and only cared about her finishing the job, not tolerating any failures, unlike Yokoya, who treats her gently, despite her plenty of failures. She asks him to let her stay in this world of his, a world different from hers where everything is cold and survival is the name of the game through assassinating people and finishing a job. The maid wants to be like the dog who meets him in a world of warmth and eventually becomes someone that Yokoya wishes for. After everything she says, Yokoya tells her that what she wants is to stop being an assassin and start becoming a normal girl, something that she never thought about before. To send people to their deaths was the only thing that she knew in her entire life, but now, with her new master, she feels hopeful that she can learn more about him and this wonderful new world. Yokoya confesses that while at first he was scared of her, but now he sees her as nothing but a good kid. Hearing herself getting called a good kid reminds the maid of her past, and because of this, she asks him to help her become a normal girl. Despite Yokoya not knowing much about tampons and pads, he tells her that she should start learning to feel normal when she makes mistakes, and not be pressured too much by it. The next morning, the dog wakes up to the sound of her learning how to cut cabbage, and she wants to learn how to make okonomiyaki so she can pair it with some sauce that she loves. Suddenly, the dog instant transmissions to her leg, causing her to freak out, not believing that a normal dog can sneak up behind her, an assassin. The dog's stomach growls, and realizing that it's hungry, she feeds it dog food. While the dog is busy going to town on the food, she tries to touch it, only to stop when Yokoya appears. He starts caressing the little fluff, and after touching its fat belly, Yokoya decides to name the dog Mochi. Yokoya praises the maid for feeding the dog and cutting the cabbage, giving her a twirl before praising her work, which rizzes the maid. On his leg, Mochi starts humping and asks to play, but Yokoya can't play as he needs to prepare dinner. However, the maid tells him that she will take care of it, stating that she wants to be a normal girl who can believe in what he said when Yokoya says that the dog is a bundle of fun. Yokoya uses his daddy Riz and tells her he believes in her too, folding her 10 folds and firing up her passion. With full trust in her master, the maid starts touching the dog, and with each caress, she starts getting closer to it, giving it the almighty belly rubs and touching its paw. Now she understands that, just like Yokoya, who's scared of her at first, she grows to trust the little doggy, just like how Yokoya grows to trust her. At dinner, she starts creaming after eating the saucy okonomiyaki, and when Yokoya offers her a second portion, she tries denying it while her body language shows that she's excited for his saucy and creamy dish. Yokoya assures her that if she has a request, she should just ask him for it, and seeing this opportunity, she asks him to give her a name. Yokoya starts thinking and asks her about her birth date, and while she doesn't know the exact date, she knows it was during the winter. Yokoya has an idea and names her Yuki, taken from the snow. It reminds her of her old boss, who calls her cold-blooded. But unlike him, Yokoya likes the snow because it looks beautiful, reminding Yuki of her past when she made a snowman. Yokoya yaps some Rizful theory that snow is also warm when it covers a field, protecting the seeds from the cold and for them to eventually bloom into beautiful flowers with the help of the snow's protection. After hearing his yapping and seeing Yokoya's clapped face, it makes Yuki wonder why everything on her life becomes more warm and beautiful when she's alongside him. She realizes that as long as she stays in his world, she will one day understand what it's like to be normal. With her Riz in full effect, Yuki thanks Yokoya for naming her, and she starts glitching out smiling, and it makes Yokoya happy to see her smile normally. Days later, while Yuki is playing with Mochi, Yokoya appears and asks her for a favor. She asks what it is, and he reveals that he wants to get his ear pierced, and he wants Yuki, who already has her pierced, to help him pluck a hole in his ears. She accepts his request, but after she puts the blade near his ear, she pulls back and starts tweaking, terrified to plush a hole in her own master. Suddenly the bell rings, and when Yuki opens the door, she finds a girl looking for her brother, who is confused at the sight of Yuki, and Yuki realizes that this is Yokoya's little sister, Riko. After she gets inside, Riko can't believe that her wimpy loser of a dumb brother manages to get his hands on a plotful maid like Yuki, and asks him why he never told her about this in their regular family meetups. He tries explaining that their mother would probably freak out, and their dad has given him the okay in hiring a maid, despite not knowing how plotful she is, but Rico still doesn't take his excuse for lying to her. Yuki asks them why they live separately, but instead of answering, Rico starts screaming, which confuses Yuki on why this girl is so freaky. Rico tells Yuki that she's so beautiful, and Okoye explains that Rico loves beautiful people while hating ugly dudes like you viewers, hence why he doesn't want to tell her about this. Rico starts pouting while abusing her brother, but after calming down, she finds out that Yuki was named by her master Yokoya, which confuses Rico. Just then, Yuki starts yapping about how she was once a nameless assassin before Yokoya gave her a name, and this causes Rico to malfunction. However, she quickly changes her opinion into thinking it's awesome, and asks her to sign her notebook, which Yuki gladly signs, but after Yuki finishes signing her signature, it looks like deranged worms. Yuki defends herself, saying that she can speak 12 languages as she traveled a lot as an assassin, but she has never studied calligraphy, and Rico has an idea. She wants Yuki to be her summer research project, and while Yokoya objects, Rico rizzes Yuki, saying that she is the one she needs. She asks Yuki to show her assassin side, and despite her brother's reasoning, she assures him that she will reverse the story and make a maid who looks like an assassin instead. Then they go to the backyard, put an apple on top of Rico's head, and Yuki yeets a blade perfectly at the apple, almost giving Yokoya a stroke. Rico asks Yuki how many knives she has and where she puts them, and Yuki answers she has 5. However, as she's about to show the knife under her plumps, Yokoya stops her, enraging us viewers who want to see the heavenly snoo-snoo. Later, while Rico is asking Yuki more of her nonsensical questions, her stomach growls, signaling that she needs food, but she asks Yuki if she has a special dish, and Yuki says that she does. So she starts chopping up some cabbages, impressing Rico with her skills, and just serves them on a plate with nothing else, which Rico praises by saying that Poppy would love it. However, they go to a McDonald's for a bite, and there they see a poster for a fireworks festival. Yokoya tells Yuki that the festival sells saucy senpai, and she starts screaming and drooling at what he says, so they decide to go to the festival. After they arrive, Rico pulls Yuki to a shooting game booth, and while Rico is trash at it, Yuki pulls up the gun like she owns the place, but also misses. And she confesses that she's too good at shooting. At the goldfish catching game, Yuki uses Sharingan and catches a lot of fish, and when Rico asks for her secret, Yuki patiently teaches her how to do it, and the clerk praises her for being a good sister. Then, they buy the sauce senpai which Yuki is excited about, and after she takes a bite, she almost sends a flood down her plot from how delicious it is. She starts eating it quickly, and seeing how much she enjoys it, the clerk gives her more for free, causing her to malfunction. Rico goes to buy some drinks, and when Yokoya wants to stop her, Rico assures her brother that she will be fine. While they wait for Rico to come back, Yokoya asks Yuki about her previous festival experiences, and she tells him that instead of having fun, she once had to do a mission at a festival where she stabbed a man in the back with a knife, while they both watch the firework. Yokoya is in shock, and before he says anything, the fireworks start and Yuki is in awe of the fireworks and its beauty. Rico comes back with drinks, saying that summer festivals are the best, and with a smile on her face, Yuki agrees. Yokoya folds seeing her, and accidentally busts his drinks. Then on their way home, Rico scolds Yuki for eating too much sauce, warning her that she might become the next Nikocado avocado. Suddenly, someone screams that there's a robbery, and from behind, Motorbike-kun almost yeets Rico from life. But Yuki manages to save her in time. However, Rico starts tweaking after Yuki saved her like a princess, but Yokoya is not happy to see that their sauce is now spilled, stating that the robber should meet Ace in hell immediately. Yuki takes her master's word literally and goes full Anbu to chase down the motorbike. Being excited, Rico wants to follow her so she can see the robber's brain getting yeeted from his head. They follow Yuki, who's running on rooftops like Spider-Man, slowly leaving them behind, but Rico finds a shortcut, and they take it. After finding the robber, Yuki majestically throws her knives at him, hitting his tires, but as she approaches the robber with malicious intent, Yokoya screams out for her to stop. However, Yuki just flicks his helmet as punishment and says that she's hungry again, and Yokoya gladly says they should buy more sauce senpai. As they leave the robber traumatized, and he now wants to go to jail at his own will. After they buy the food, they go home and Riko is excited to show her class her summer project, which puzzles Yuki about what school is. Riko starts telling her how amazing schools are, stating it is a great place, which you viewers know is a scam, but she gets a sudden text from her mother who has cooked beef stew for her. Riko rushes to go home, but despite her rashness, Yuki sees it as something normal, and after what Riko tells her, she tells Yokoya that she wants to go to school. The next morning, Yokoya goes to school, wondering if Yuki will be okay in her new school. His friends pop up telling him about a rumor of a thick, plothful maid in town, causing him to burst out his milk. Yokoya tries playing dumb, saying he doesn't know what he's talking about, but suddenly, the teacher introduces a new student, and in comes Yuki in all her glory as the new student, causing Yokoya to short-circuit. She introduces herself as Yuki, Yokoya's cousin, but when she sits down in front of him, she calls him master, which shocks everyone. After school, Riko pops up, asking him how school is, and while stone-faced, Yokoya realizes that she's behind this, prompting her to celebrate her operation's success. On her way home, Riko glazes Yuki, saying that before Yuki joined school, she had been able to learn everything that needed to be learned about school in 3 days. Yokoya then asks how is Yuki suddenly his cousin that convenient is in his class in the same school, but they choose to hide this from him. They answer that Yuki has a connection from her assassin job that registered her here in the same class as him, and Riko suggested that she should be his cousin, so it would be easier to explain their interactions in the future. However, it was Riko's idea that they keep it a secret so she could see Yokoya's reaction afterward. Yokoya smacks her head, but after seeing this, Yuki gets distressed, asking if she's at fault. Yokoya changes his tone and tells Yuki that he doesn't mind and hopes that they can both enjoy their school life. The next day, students rush out of class wanting to eat some katsuta bread, and it interests Yuki. Yokoya asks her what she wants for lunch, and she answers katsuta bread. He explains that katsuta bread is more rare than the one piece, and she needs to be quick during lunch hour to get them. He draws her a picture, showing that their classroom is the farthest from the cafeteria. And while Yokoya feels pessimistic, Yuki feels fired up and tells him that if Escobar can get the bread, then she can get it too. With full conviction, she jumps out of the window and goes to the roof, and despite Yokoya's attempt to stop her, she runs on the railing like a ninja. Here, Yokoya realizes that he can't stop after seeing her eyes resembling a girl looking at food, deeming that when sauces are involved, not even Aizen or Thanos can stop Yuki. Yokoya looks down and sees the sweaty katsuta bread-obsessed dudes running to the cafeteria, and he fears that Yuki will drop down in front of them, exposing her secret. But just as Yuki is about to jump down, she turns and swings straight to drop in front of the cafeteria, and there she buys one bread and one sandwich. However, she informs Yokoya that the store only allows her to buy one due to the limited amount being sold. He pulls out another sandwich and tells her that he can just eat this. Yuki feels conflicted and tells Yokoya he should have the katsuta bread, but he assures her that she should have it, saying that she earned it. After the first bite, Yuki starts squealing out of happiness, but despite her joy, she splits the sandwich and feeds him, sharing her joy. That night, Riko announces that she's staying the night, and while Yokoya doesn't like the idea, Riko calls him out for the privilege of being able to live with Yuki and clap her every night. She adds that she always wanted a sister that she could talk about boys with so much. She even imagined him as her clapped-looking sister. Now, Riko has a great idea. If Yokoya marries Yuki, her dream will come true, especially since Riko thinks that Yuki likes him. However, Yokoya tells her that Yuki doesn't feel romance, and that days ago when she made him gammon bread, she didn't show any reaction. Though Riko is still convinced, she does think that while their mother would agree, their father would not. Yuki shows up, asking who's getting married, surprising them both with her presence. Riko tells the truth and asks her if she likes Yokoya, and she tells them that she admires him, which causes Yokoya to malfunction. Later they hang out, and Riko asks her if she wears makeup, stating that her natural face would put the Kardashians to shame. Yuki tells her she doesn't, and while Riko tells her that her face is the dream of many girls, Yuki says that her appearance has never given her any benefits in her old work. Riko thinks that, unlike Yuki, she doesn't have a pretty face, but Yuki rizzes her by saying that she likes how Riko looks, and Riko feels happy as no one ever told her this besides her parents. She asks if she can be as pretty as her, and Yuki tells her that ever since she started eating tonkatsu sauce, her skin has been clearer by the day, so offers Riko some of her tonkatsu glazed melon, which confuses Riko at first, but she ends up liking. Seeing this interaction, Yokoya thinks to himself that they're like sister, and he credits Riko for Yuki being able to adapt to normal life quickly. After seeing his thinking face, Riko calls Yokoya out, saying that he was imagining marrying Yuki so he can see this interaction every day. And while Yokoya tries to deny it, Riko asks him if he would be happy to marry someone as cute and playful as Yuki, to which Yokoya agrees, making Riko happy. While in the bushes, a cat is lurking. The next day in class, while the teacher is teaching them about how SpongeBob is a better show than Attack on Titan, he notices Yokoya sleeping and eats a chalk at him. But Yuki cuts the chalk without anyone seeing and causes Yokoya to go blind, which is not what Yuki wanted to happen. Then, Yokoya goes to the infirmary, and there he meets a plotful health teacher straight from high school DxD, Nina, who is replacing the old health teacher. After he complains about his eyes, she tells him to sit on the bed, but Yokoya feels a weird aura from her. Nita starts interrogating him about Yuki, and when he tells her that Yuki is his cousin, Nita starts laughing, stating that he looks clapped compared to Yuki. While checking his eyes, she compliments his handsome face, and after she sees that he's healthy, she suddenly locks the door. Nita turns into the doctor every man wants, pushes him down, and crawls on him, teasing him to progress the plot. But before she gobbles his glizzy, Yuki barges in and stares Nita down. Yokoya crawls to Yuki in fear of the snoo-snoo. But Nita says that it was a joke, as Yokoya looks like a cute hamster when he sees her plots. Despite Nita's attempts to lure Yokoya back in, Yuki pulls him back and orders him to never approach Nita again. Suddenly, Yokoya remembers what Riko said and thinks that Yuki actually likes him and is jealous. Nita has enough and sends him away, saying that the injury is not severe, and Yuki slowly backs Yokoya out of the room. As she pulls Yokoya away, Yuki apologizes for her actions and says that she needs to tell him something, which makes Yokoya's heart beat faster. However, Yuki informs him that Nita is also an assassin, which shocks him. Meanwhile, the cat comes to Nita, and from the cat, Nita receives pictures of Yokoya's home, which Nita plans to destroy. Nita has a dream for her to one day live out her life on the beach with different sweaty dudes to clap, but before she gets to have that dream, she needs to assassinate both Yokoya and Yuki. Meanwhile, Yokoya struggles to sleep as Yuki refuses to leave his side out of fear that Nita, who they still don't know anything about, might jump in and assassinate Yokoya and his precious pickle. Yokoya tells her that he can't sleep like this, so Yuki suggests an idea and lays next to him, telling him that her thighs can help him sleep by squeezing him dry, which is what every man dreams of. Yokoya tells Yuki that he is worried about her, and while she gets shy after hearing that, she tells him that she can defend herself easily in her sleep using a pencil like John Wick. Yuki has a theory that Nita is someone who holds a grudge from her past, but she assures Yokoya while giving him the almighty hand-holding that she will protect him, the person who shows her what warmth feels like. Yokoya feels hot after all the hand-holding they did and wants to open the window, but Yuki stops him and opens it herself, saying that he could have gotten 360 no-scope through the window if he's not careful. Suddenly, she smells some delicious katsuta sauce and realizes it's a trap, but before she gets to do anything, Nita is already inside, taking Yokoya hostage. Nita then calls Yuki by her real name, Shue, the white wolf of the dragon's 9 offsprings, and expresses her disappointment in Yuki for being easily tricked. Yuki pulls out her knife, but Nita threatens her that if she tries something dumb, Nita will play ping-pong with Yokoya's eyeball. Suddenly, Yuki starts yapping in Mandarin and threatens Nita by saying that she will feed her and her whole family to the dogs if she touches Yokoya, and this causes Nita to feel fear. She tells Yuki that she will wait for her at school for their duel to the death while Yokoya will be taken hostage. After they leave, Yuki remembers what her old master told her, that all she is the female John Wick without a happy ending, and Yuki pulls out her knife, determined to accept who she is, and saves Yokoya. Yuki plans to save Yokoya at all costs and leave the country afterward, continuing her life as an assassin if it means that Yokoya is safe. However, her heart tells her otherwise, as what she really wants is to continue the warm life Yokoya has been providing for her. Meanwhile, at school, Nita ties up Yokoya like he's in 50 Shades of Grey, but after seeing his calm reaction, she asks Yokoya if he's not scared and hates Yuki for dragging him into her mess. Yokoya confesses that while he is scared, he also believes in Yuki, who promised that she will protect him. Yokoya asks Nita about Shue, the person she has been talking about, and it surprises Nita that he doesn't know anything about Yuki despite having lived with her. Nida informs him that Shue is a monster who is considered to be special in her field, and coming from the dragon's 9 offspring, dubbed as the White Wolf, she is Ya from Spy Family on steroids. Nida adds that the dragon's 9 offspring is a group of elite assassins who have been involved throughout history, from JFK to Franz Ferdinand. Still, if Nida can clap Shue's life, it will also skyrocket her reputation, which is what she's aiming for. Yokoya doesn't believe what Nida is saying, stating that the Yuki that he knows is a precious girl with big jugs who often gets lost in the sauce and squeals whenever she's happy. Nida reveals that she also can't believe what the almighty Shue has become under Yokoya's supervision, stating that when they talked about marriage, it pisses off Nida so much that she wanted to yeet a nuke to their house. However, Nida also thinks that Yokoya is not normal for being extremely calm in this situation, stating that there's something special about him that he's able to melt Yuki's dark and cold heart. Nida believes that the more someone wants to protect, the weaker they become, so with Yokoya involved, she believes that she can finally send Yuki to meet Ace in hell. Then, Yuki shows up, looking for smoke, and when Nida shoots at her, she chops the bullets like they're nothing. However, Nida has prepared a landmine under Yuki and shoots it to blow it up, believing that she has won. Just then, Yuki pops up in front of her, almost taking Nida's head off, but Nida manages to avoid it. After seeing Yokoya, Yuki calms him down and promises that she will save him. This annoys Nida as she realizes that Yuki is not taking her seriously, and starts yapping about Yuki's past and how if exposed, it will force Yuki to move out from Yokoya's peaceful home. Yuki tells this Walmart Catwoman wannabe to shut her dirty mouth as all Yuki is worried about is that Yokoya has school tomorrow, and he needs to sleep before the morning. Nida gets pissed and asks Yuki if she can't talk about anything else aside from Yokoya. And to put insult to injury, Yuki starts talking about Riko, Machi, and her favorite sauces. Nida has enough and reveals her secret weapons, which all of them aim at Yokoya, threatening him that if he struggles, the guns will shoot his limbs off and make him nothing but a torso. Having enough, Yuki rushes at Nida, which scares her at first, but then, she activates her guns to shoot Yokoya. However, using the force, Yuki throws his knife to the sky, pulls out her smaller blades, and eats them at Yokoya to block the bullets. As Yuki gets closer, Nida tries to use her other plans, but Yuki's knife stabs her phone and destroys her plans. As Yuki approaches, Nida starts remembering who Shue really is, and when Yuki tells her to give up, she points a gun at Yokoya, only for Yuki to stop her and kick her down. Nida starts yapping, telling Yuki that she will always be Shue, the great assassin who claps people's lives and cuts their limbs, and tells Yuki that it's impossible for assassins like them to live a normal life as other assassins will come for her. Yuki agrees with her statement, saying that her old self has nothing else in her life but assassinating people, but she tells Nida that she won't take anyone's life anymore nor let other people die because of her. Yuki believes that for her future, she will fight for what she believes in to gain the normal life she always wanted. Nida can't believe what she's hearing, seeing the great white wolf Shue letting her prey go, and prefers to save Yokoya instead. Nida realizes that Yuki is not a perfect assassin, but simply a girl who is willing to do anything for what she truly cares about. Nida smiles and starts laughing, knowing that she never had a chance against Yuki in the first place. On their way home, Yuki apologizes to Yokoya for getting him involved, and tells him that she's willing to disappear just for his sake if he wants. Instead of answering, Yokoya takes her hand, and using his riz, he asks her to teach him self-defense techniques so he can help her, which makes Yuki happily blush to know that he still wants her to be with him. Days later, Yuki plays volleyball at school like she's from Haikyuu, and while the boys ogle over her, they can't believe that a loser like Yokoya is related to her. Yokoya is still haunted by the previous incident with the plotful doctor, Nida, who informed him about the real Yuki, who is part of the dragon's 9 offsprings. Since then, Yokoya has become even more curious while Yuki is still trying to live normally. Suddenly, Yuki smiles at him, causing all the boys to get jealous, but suddenly a ball is yeeted at him, and Yokoya is saved by Nida, whose real name is Grace, causing the boys to get even more jealous of this lucky loser. It turns out that Grace is now pretending to be a new teacher, and while it confuses you viewers on why things turn out this way, Yokoya takes us to weeks before Grace first presented herself as her new identity, a PE teacher who is also Yokoya's cousin. She explains that what Yokoya sees is Grace in her true form, an assassin who specializes in intelligence, unlike Yuki, who specializes in knives. Yuki demands Grace to explain herself, and she tells her that she no longer wants to murder them, as what she is really interested in is seeing the legendary assassin Sue becoming a slave to a limp-willy loser like Yokoya. Grace suggests a negotiation between assassins, and her terms to Yuki are that Yuki lets her stay to observe them, and she won't harm them, while also offering them unlimited katsuta sauce bread for the next 3 months. While Yokoya is trying to decipher this code between assassins, Yuki simply accepts her offer, as there is no stupid code between assassins. While Yokoya is worried about the deal, Yuki assures him that harming him gives Grace no benefit, and even if there are 1,000 of them, Yuki promises to protect him. While she's saying all this, Yokoya notices her drool and knows that what she cares about is not him, but the almighty bread. Back in the present, Yokoya reminds Grace that she's supposed to be observing secretly, but Grace refuses to do so, as she wants to see Yuki's reaction to her being lovey-dovey with Yokoya. While Yuki continues to play volleyball, Grace gets even closer, teasing Yokoya that she will gobble his glizzy, but as Yuki watches, she serves the ball and yeets it strongly, almost destroying the wall. As the others are in shock, Yuki realizes how hard she hit the ball, but instead of getting scolded, the girls surround him, glazing her about how amazing her serves are. Later at lunch, Yuki expresses how embarrassed she is for what she just did, and Yokoya asks her what happened. Yuki reveals that she feels alienated after seeing Yokoya close to another assassin, and here, after Grace tells him, Yokoya realizes that Yuki is jealous. He assures her that her feelings are normal, and she feels happy. On weekend, every morning, Yuki first changes into her maid outfit and goes to do laundry, but today, after seeing how stiff the towels she just washed, she feels extremely happy. Like a proud parent, Yokoya feels happy for her after seeing Yuki struggle for a whole month doing laundry where she fails again and again. Now, with Yuki successfully doing the laundry, she feels that she starts the day brilliantly. She then continues doing her chores, and when it gets to dinner, Yokoya informs her that they only have a cabbage. She imagines the cabbage chopped and served alongside katsu sauce, but Yokoya has a better idea. He goes and buys pork cutlets from his usual vendor, who is happy with his patronage, but beside him is an overly excited Yuki, who almost creams to the amount of katsuta sauce she sees. Yuki asks Yokoya if he ever felt like what she's feeling, and he tells her that he felt that way when he used to visit the Hero Theater. There, he was infatuated watching the Walmart Kamen Rider perform, and after hearing him tell this story, Yuki can somewhat relate. Yuki then watches in awe of the old dude cutting his cutlet, telling Yokoya how much of a pro this old man is, and wondering if this old man is John Wick in disguise with his cutting skills. The grandma informs them that she and her husband are the ones who created the katsuta sauce, and after hearing this, Yuki sees them as gods. Yuki thanks them, as because of them, Yuki, who never experienced and enjoyed food before, is now able to enjoy food at the highest level thanks to their sauce. With a smile on her face, she wholeheartedly thanks them for providing her happiness. The grandma tells Yuki that the reason why she's able to enjoy the sauce is because she feels the warmth of happiness. And after hearing this, all Yuki can think about is Yokoya's warmth, and she agrees with the grandma's sentiment. Suddenly, the grandpa pops up behind Yuki and cleans off the dust on her shoulder, and it surprises Yuki how this old prune is able to sneak behind her. But instead of feeling fear, she is now convinced that John Wick is now a pork cutlet-selling old man. The grandma then offers them to taste her new sauce recipe, and like a cat with fish, Yuki is excited to have a taste. She eats a spoonful and completely creams all the way to cloud 9. Later that night, after they finish dinner, Yokoya is conflicted, as while he still wants to know about the dragon's 9 offsprings, he also feels that he shouldn't after seeing how happy Yuki is in her new life. Yokoya realizes that only Yuki can tell him about her past, and while he does want to ask her, he knows that it will hurt her with the same pain that hurts him. He falls asleep and dreams about his mother who left him, and despite him wanting to hug her for the last time, she never hugged him back. Yokoya wakes up in tears, hugging Yuki, and while she explains that she caught him in his sleep, Yokoya slips to her puddings and quickly apologizes. Knowing that Yokoya dreams about his mommy's milky jugs, Yuki offers him to lie on her lap again, but suddenly, Yokoya's phone drops, and when Yuki picks it up, she sees that Yokoya is curious about her past. Yuki confesses that she herself doesn't know what the dragon's 9 offsprings is, as when she was an assassin, all she did was follow her master's order and not join the organization. Despite meeting some members, Yuki doesn't know their names, as all she cares about is her mission and disappointing her master. Because of her past, she still struggles to get used to this beautiful and calming life, thinking that she's living in a warm dream. But every time she sees Yokoya, she remembers that what she wants is to be a normal girl. Yokoya tells her that he feels the same, as after what happened with Nita, he also wants to know more about her and help her reach her goal. Yuki smiles warmly at him, and Yokoya starts blushing. But after hearing that Yokoya wants to know her more, Yuki agrees to reveal more about herself. She tells him the reason why she likes having him lie on her lap is because the first time they did it, she felt that for the first time, she was truly helping someone. So she tells him that whenever he has nightmares, her lap is always open for him. To even out her gesture, Yokoya then reveals that the dream he had was not a nightmare, but instead, it was a hopeful dream as he saw Yuki taking over the warmth that he was missing from his mother. Like any other day, Yuki starts her day by waking up, getting dressed, and starting her chores. She does the laundry, which she's proud of after she struggled at first. She washes the dishes, plays with the dog, and continues the day as usual. In the afternoon, Yuki goes to the market to shop for food supplies, and every dude she walks past glazes her with their eyes. During her shopping, a little jit talks to Yuki and compliments her for how beautiful she looks, but the little gaps too much and tells her that her maid costume is not something a normal girl would wear. It shocks Yuki, and when she meets Yokoya, who just bought some books, she asks him if what the little prick said was true. Because of her worries, Yokoya takes Yuki to shop for some clothes, but after they arrive, both Riko and Grace are there waiting for them. Yokoya asks why these two useless scrubs are here, and while Riko comes there voluntarily to help her brother pick some clothes, Grace reveals that she hacked his phone and wants to see Yuki in new clothing. Riko asks Grace if she's also an assassin, but instead of answering, Grace hugs her, which worries Yokoya. But instead of choking, Riko starts sniffing the smell of her milky jugs more. Riko suggests they go to a certain store, and while Yokoya expects less attention-seeking clothes, Yuki tries out even more outrageous maid clothing. As Riko starts taking pictures of Yuki for her own personal use, Yokoya scolds her for taking them to this store. Suddenly, Grace suggests another store, and while Yokoya doesn't think it could get worse, it does get worse as Yuki now looks like she cost $5 an hour. They start trying out more clothes, some pretty and some making all the men cream. They ask Yokoya for his opinion, and when he suggests a white one-piece dress, Grace calls him a closet degenerate who likes to nut under the blanket. Afterward, they manage to survive and shop for clothes. With Halloween approaching, Riko encourages them to get some costumes too, so they try out costumes as either a witch or a police officer any man would love to get arrested by. Yokoya notices a horror movie poster and expresses how much of a fan he is. Grace and Riko suggest that they should watch, but Yuki seems confused about what they're talking about. Yokoya asks her if she has never been to a cinema before, and Yuki states that she has, but instead of watching, she was always there for an assassination mission. They then go to watch the film, but even though Yuki was a former world-class assassin who clapped people's lives left and right, the sight of zombies scares her to death. After the movie, they try to calm her down, stating that her assassin skill would easily win against the zombies, but Yuki continues tweaking, stating that the idea of a stinky corpse walking disgusts her and their clapped-looking mouth needs a tic-tac. Here, Yokoya realizes that the way Yuki sees things is through the lens of her past life experiences as an assassin. Afterward, they buy some creeps and enjoy them together as a group of fun people. Just then, a pink-haired girl, Neka, is watching them in envy, also wanting to have fun. But her teacher, Taki, scolds her for being too careless, stating that she needs to be careful. Then, as Grace goes home, Yokoya tells Yuki to go home first while he takes Riko back home. However, Yuki takes a detour and admires herself in her new clothing, but then she's still reminiscing about her maid outfit. In her room, after some thought process, she switches back to the maid outfit and goes to play with Mochi. However, she realizes that as she goes shopping the whole day, she hasn't done the laundry. She sees Mochi's dirty towel and wants to clean it, but Mochi refuses and runs away with it. Then the power goes out, and the lighting outside reminds Yuki of the zombie film she just watched. Meanwhile, with his towel in his mouth, Mochi accidentally crashes into a table, dropping food on his head. The sound surprises Yuki, and while scared, she goes to investigate. Out comes a clapped-looking creature straight from hell, and with a knife in her hand, Yuki chops up Mochi's towel. Then Mochi starts crying about his towel, and while Yuki promises to fix them, Yokoya doubts her after seeing how destroyed the towel is. She promises that she will do it, and Yokoya believes her, giving her his support. He notices that she went back to the maid's outfit and asks her if she hates the clothes she bought. While Yuki states that she loves the new clothes she bought, Her old maid costume is a gift from her late master, who believed in her dream of wanting to be a normal girl. Her maid costume is the only thing Yuki has that reminds her of her old master, and she asks Yokoya if she can continue wearing it despite her not looking like a normal girl. Using his immaculate Chad-like riz, Yokoya tells Yuki that there's nothing weird about her, even if she's scared of zombies as an assassin or even wants to wear what she loves every day, her maid outfit. Yokoya assures her that even the most normal of people have some weird things that they like, and that the best thing Yuki can do is to be herself. Yuki feels happy and fuzzy after hearing that, and Mochi barks in agreement. Yokoya lifts him up and notices that the towel is the same towel they found him in. He suspects that Mochi likes the towel because it has his parents' scent, and after hearing that, Yuki insists that she fix Mochi's towel ASAP. Yuki states that just like how the towel reminds Mochi of his parents, Yuki has the bell that reminds her of her sister. It surprises Yokoya to hear that, as he can't believe that there is another maid assassin with cheeks as thick as Yuki's. Days later, while they eat ramen together, Yokoya asks Grace about Yuki's sister's whereabouts, but she states that she doesn't know and only points out Yuki's bell and her surname being Hoa. When Yokoya tries to speak more, Grace stops him and starts devouring her ramen, saying to Yokoya that he should never disturb her eating. Being a foreigner, Grace loves and appreciates ramen as Japan's culture, but when she sees Yuki drowning the ramen in katsuta sauce, she starts tweaking, threatening her that she will make her choke on the sauce for disrespecting ramen. But Yuki just enjoys the ramen without a care. Later, they go buy more sauce after Yuki ran out of them. But to her demise, the shopkeeper informs her that they ran out of sauce and that they will be available next week, which hurts her every fiber of being. With her sauce being limited, Yuki plans to use them sparingly, but seeing her sad, Yokoya wants to cheer her up. He asks Yuki what she remembers about her sister, but Yuki sadly tells him that because of her past, she doesn't remember what her sister or what her clapped parents look like. All she remembers is the bells her mother gave her and her sister, and she hopes that her sister would recognize the bell she's carrying when they meet, but after 10 years, they haven't met each other, and she's scared that her sister hates her because she felt Yuki abandoned her. However, Yuki states that if her sister is living a good life, she's happy and doesn't mind that they never meet. Suddenly, two of Yokoya's yee-ass friends, Taiga and Kobachi, show up and show their jealousy toward Yokoya for having a thick and busty cousin from Alabama. Taiga shows Yokoya his new CD, featuring an artist that will perform in Katsuta Festival, and Kobachi scolds Yokoya for no longer hanging out with them, but instead getting busy jiggling Yuki's jugs. However, Taiga thanks Yuki for being here as her presence makes Yokoya happier. The boys start outing Yokoya's past for being edgy and a Chunai bio, who acts like he's an anime character who bags on the daily, when in reality, Yokoya can't get his pickle wet. Yokoya has enough and covers Taiga's mouth, but causes him to drop his CD. But before it falls, Yuki eats her bag to save it, resulting in her katsuta to slide over and pour all over the street while Yuki watches in pain. That night, Yuki has a nightmare where katsuta sauce tells Yuki he hates her and rather glaze the sauce somewhere else rather than her sweet cheeks. She wakes up traumatized, and when Yokoya walks in, she tells him that without the sauce, her life is meaningless. After telling Yokoya her dream of how katsuta sauce cheated on her, she tells him that she had another dream, but didn't continue her sentence. After days of the same nightmare, she goes to Yokoya's room and asks him to sleep with her. And while Yokoya was hoping for some cheeks at first, he tells her that he needs to study and can only accompany her to sleep. After calming down, Yuki points out how great of a person Yokoya really is, and while flustered, Yokoya wonders why she says that. Suddenly, she asks Yokoya if he ever dislikes someone, and Yokoya confesses that after some incidents in his past, he dislikes his own father. After hearing this, Yuki sees her own past, her sister, and the bells. She gets uncomfortable and quickly goes back to her room, leaving Yokoya worried. In her nightmares, not only does the sauce cheats on her, but he starts taunting Yuki for abandoning her sister and being hated by everyone as all she's good for is assassinating people. The sauce continues to yap and points to Yokoya and his sister, saying how they secretly hate Yuki behind her back. Suddenly, the sauce brings Yuki to her past when she was a little popular prodigy, who speaks 15 languages and has a photographic memory. However, despite all the attention in the limelight, all Yuki cared about was to make her parents proud. During one of her birthdays, the family was enjoying their celebration, but the doorbell rings, and when her parents go to open it, Yuki's whole world collapses. They look back for a glance, but without saying anything to Yuki, They continued to walk toward the darkness, leaving Yuki and her sister behind. The parents were murdered by assassins who wanted to kidnap Yuki for her talents. From then on, Yuki's feelings are numbed, and they turned her into an assassin, slowly deleting her emotions and trade them for skills. Yuki's cold heart turned her sister to hate her, but she continued on. Suddenly, her old master appears, wanting to turn her back, but before it happens, Yokoya wakes her up from her nightmare. Yokoya tells Yuki that he is worried about her, and without skipping a beat, Yuki hugs him and pulls him into her bed. Yokoya starts creaming his pants over this development, but she begs him to stay like this. Yokoya feels how hard she's holding on him, and he knows that she experienced another nightmare, and Yuki confesses that it was a memory of her dark past. To calm her down, Yokoya pats her back, saying how it sounds like a comforting heartbeat. And while Yokoya keeps patting, she slowly falls asleep to Yokoya's calming heartbeat. The next day, after finding out that Yuki doesn't know what Katsuta Festival is, Teiga explains that the festival consists of the culture, sports, and music festivals where the classes take part in, with the winner getting a special Katsuta sauce. After hearing this, Yuki starts drooling, wanting to win, but they tell her that she has to win each festival while having a high grade. Yuki shows her dog grade on a test, thinking it's enough, but Yokoya informs her that she needs to pass the average grade, which is 60 points to compete. Yuki starts panicking with her low grade, but the guys calm her down, saying that she needs to do well in practical exams, so Yuki sets her sight on it. At lunchtime, Grace hands Yuki her Katsuta sandwich as part of her deal, and when Yuki thanks her, she feels conflicted about it and tells them to scram. Yokoya starts talking about Yuki's desire to compete in the Katsuta Festival, and after hearing this, Grace sees her opportunity. She shows Yuki a test paper without a name on it, and tells her that she knows that Yuki is the one who forgot to put her name. Here, Yuki realizes that she forgot to put her name in, and Grace tells her that without her name, Yuki automatically fails the test. Yuki tries to bargain, but Grace tells her that she can put her name in as long as she stops bringing Katsuta sauce in ramen shops, which Yuki likes to do. Suddenly, a pink flash blits behind Grace, and when she looks at the paper again, Yuki's name is on it. And while Yuki tries to tell Grace what happened, Yokoya tells her to shut her mouth and let it happen. Grace takes her leave like a sore loser, and while Yokoya doesn't know what happened, behind them, a pink-haired girl, Naka, helped them. However, Yuki confronts her to thank her, revealing she saw her blitz through the air. While Naka is panicking after being caught, she gathers her bravery and tells the couple that she knows how to win the Katsuta Festival. Comment, Saucy Maid Nightmares, if you want a part 9. And if you like anime recaps like this, then watch this video right here.